there's been a lot of comparisons of what happened in Baltimore to what happened in Baltimore in 1968. Not only in Baltimore, this happened throughout the country. It was the 1968 riots after the death of Martin Luther King Jr. Now, there's been a lot of comparisons between the two. Now, the 68 riot was a lot worse. In the 68 riot, 6 folks lost their lives. There was 700 folks that were injured. And beyond the 700 folks that were injured and the 600 folks that lost their lives, thousands of small businesses were initially set off by were literally, burned by assassins. This, that, and the third. So there's a lot of city officials that have already invoked this sort of idea that the movement that we're in now is very similar to 1968. Now, to some extent, I agree and I disagree. Right? I think 68 was definitely more of a widespread chaotic situation, having a lot of cities with a lot of rioting, a lot of burning. Now we've seen there was isolated incidents of rioting, I guess you would argue, in Ferguson, very isolated. Here in Baltimore, we've seen the same, but I think it's not as widespread yet. But I think this is a precursor. You know how I feel about these things. I think life speaks to you in pebbles, right? So the first pebble was Trayvon Martin. Right? I would even say before that, you have Sean Bell. First pebble. That was like a small drop. Sand hit you on the forehead. Then it was Trayvon. Right? Then it was Michael Brown. Then it was Tamar Rice. Then it was, Walter Scott. And I know I'm missing a couple people along the way, so I'm sorry if I'm missing somebody. And now we have Freddie Gray, and it's now the pebbles, and the pebbles are getting bigger, and the rocks are getting bigger, and the rocks are getting bigger. America, we are so close to the cinder block or an anvil falling on our neck. But the question we have to ask ourselves is how disgusted are we going to get as a country before we say, wait a minute, there's a clear problem between communities of color and the police. And it's leading to all these other problems like rioting in the streets, people shutting down bridges. They shut down bridges in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. They shut down bridges in Washington, D.C. When is enough going to be enough? When are we going to answer this? We are facing a crisis of an epic national proportion.